Those dogs would make a lovely fur coat. Good morning from central London. Today I'm going to take a walk from St John's Wood down to Marylebone Railway Station. And along the way we'll discover a grave of a man who fought at the Battle of Waterloo. We'll discover some locations linked to the M.C.C. and we'll try and find some blue plaques as well. There's bound to be some in London. London is full of blue plaques. We'll try and find some of those. I'm starting my walk here on Abbey Road. And the car that's just gone past is a Beetle, which gives you a clue that I'm now outside the Abbey Road studios. The building was built in 1829 as a 9-bedroom Georgian townhouse. It was established as a recording studio in November 1931. But it's famous as the studio the Beatles recorded in, as well as numerous other artists, including the composer Edward Elgar, who conducted some of his orchestral works here. But Abbey Road was the 11th studio album by the band The Beatles, the English band. It was released on 26th of September 1969. And it's the last album the group recorded. They recorded it here at the Abbey Road studios. And you can see all the graffiti on the walls outside. So many fans have left their messages, and their messages to each other. Somebody loves somebody. Okay. But it's lovely. There's a plaque on the outside to Sir Edward Elgar. I imagine this building could be covered in blue plaques because there are so many famous people associated with this building. But it's not the building I've come to see. It's the zebra crossing. I'm getting excited about a road crossing. This was the famous photograph of John, Paul, George and Ringo walking across a zebra crossing in the centre of London, and I'm doing exactly the same. I'm a huge Beatles fan, and I've just walked across hallowed ground. Absolutely brilliant. Yes, they were photographed on Abbey Road, on the junction here, on the zebra crossing. Absolutely brilliant. And of course, in the photograph on the album cover, there was a 5th Beatle, and that was the car. So it's quite apt that we've just had a Beatle car go past. Absolutely wonderful, it really is. I've always wanted to come here. Always wanted to come to the zebra crossing there. It's just lovely to actually finally do it and see where that iconic photograph was taken. Absolutely brilliant. And of course you can do a Google search for that photograph. I can't show it because it's copyrighted, but you can do a Google search. I'm sure any Beatles fan will know the photograph that I'm referring to. Absolutely wonderful. And there's this memorial here in the middle of the road. It's to Edward Onslow Ford, and he was an English sculptor. He died aged 49 on the 23rd of December 1901 and produced some of the finest sculptures that have ever been produced. Absolutely lovely to see that. I'll walk across the road and try not to get run over. There we go. Absolutely fantastic to see the studios and walk across the crossing. Yeah, this video's got off to a very good start, but let's head a little further down towards Lord's Cricket Ground and we'll look at some of the locations to the M.C.C. It's quite nice walking around here in the early morning sunshine. Some very nice properties but they cost several million each. Not more than I can afford. But at least we got some nice weather. Finally, towards the end of June, we get some nice weather. The last couple of weeks have been really rather bad, as they have in South Wales. I've been for the last couple of weeks. But it's really nice today, it's warm. And they reckon a predicted temperature of around 24 degrees, which is rather nice. And there's a blue plaque. Oh, how fantastic. Oh. Billy Fury, 1940 to 1983, singer, lived here. Oh, wonderful. Now, Billy Fury, his real name was Ronald Whiteshelley. He died aged 42. But during the 60s, he had 24 hits, which was the same as the Beatles. 24 hits. Nice to see a blue plaque to another singer, and so early in the video as well. And if you're enjoying this video, then please hit that subscribe button and follow my journey. There are 9 other videos from London and various locations, including the Tower of London, another where I tried time travel, and numerous others from famous landmarks in London. So I'll leave a link to those at the end of this video. But just up ahead, looks like a Penfold postal box. And it is a Penfold, designed by John Warnham Penfold. Nice to see them. There aren't that many of them around, but it is nice to see them in the streets. Yes, today's turning out rather well. On the right hand side is Lord's Cricket Ground, current home of the M.C.C, the Marylebone Cricket Club. We'll discover a little more about that as we go through this video. But there's a nice park just opposite and a cabman's shelter. So let's go and take a look at those. This particular taxi cab shelter is a fine example. Only 13 remain out of the 61 that were built between 1875 and 1914. And taxi cab drivers could come here and take a break. And there was there is still here on the side a place to tie up the horses, because the original taxis were hansom cabs, horse-drawn cabs. It's made famous by Sherlock Holmes. They were the idea of newspaper editor George Armstrong and Anthony Ashley Cooper, the 7th Earl of Shaftesbury, who took it upon themselves to set up a charity to construct and run shelters at major cab stands. They could accommodate 12 people. And the strict rules: no gambling, no drinking, no swearing, all strictly forbidden. And a few of them now survive. And this one's a cafe. I think quite a few of them are now little cafes. So anybody can go in, but only if you're a taxi cab driver. Anybody can go to the cafe and buy a coffee. But you can only sit inside if you're a licensed taxi driver. It's nice. One of the quirky things in London is those green taxi cab shelters. But this is the park, and it's absolutely beautiful. This is St John's Wood Church Garden. It's the former burial ground for St John's Wood Church, which is just at the other end of the park. Burial ground was consecrated by the Bishop of London on the 24th of May, 1814. And the burial ground closed in 1855 and converted into a public garden in 1886. There's estimated around 50,000 graves are here. Some are marked and some lie under the grass. But there are two graves that I want to look at here. And the first is just up ahead on the left. This is the grave of Private Samuel Godley, and he fought at the Battle of Waterloo. He served in the Household Cavalry, and they took part in the famous charge of the British heavy cavalry before suffering heavy losses at the hands of the French lancers. His commanding officer, Sergeant Major Thomas Playford, actually recorded in dispatches that Samuel showed great bravery and daring in this charge. He was knocked from his horse and fractured his skull, but continued to fight, slaying his enemy, capturing his horse, and going on to slay more Frenchmen. He died in 1832, so he survived. Despite all those injuries, he survived and is buried here. Samuel Godley. That's lovely. Don't very often come across graves of people who fought at Waterloo. That's really nice. But there's another one here, grave just down here, John Sell Cotman. And he's an artist, a watercolour painter, born in 1782 and died in 1842. And this is his grave here, John Sell Cotman. Two graves here in an overgrown cemetery. Mind you, a lot of cemeteries now are overgrown. They're called wildlife cemeteries. I think it's quite nice. They are overgrown, reclaimed by wildlife. There's some nice stones here. Some of them you just can't read. It's the trouble with these old gravestones. The weather has got to them and they just can't be read, which is a shame, because it's nice to sort of walk through a cemetery and read the stones, just see who people were and how they died, what age they died. There's one gravestone here that looks readable, sacred to the memory of Mary Ann Davies, daughter of the late Mr. Walter Davies, and she died July 1840, aged 37. I wonder who they were, what they did in their lifetime. Interesting to find out. If you happen to know, that's a long shot, isn't it? If you happen to know, then leave a comment in the comment section below and let me know. These are the gardens here for the church. Absolutely beautiful. St John's Wood Church originally opened as a funeral chapel for the cemetery that we've just walked through. The building is quite magnificent with those 4 columns on the front. The architect was a man called Thomas Hardwick. Bishop of London came to consecrate St John's Chapel on the 24th of May 1814. And the congregation were invited to Mr. Lord's new cricket ground for refreshments after the service. Rather impressive cricket ground we've just walked past. It's the third location for the cricket ground, the M.C.C, the Marylebone Cricket Club. The first match was in July of 1814 when the M.C.C played St John's Wood Cricket Club. I'm not sure on the result. If you happen to know, I just happen to know the match fixture. But it's a beautiful cricket ground, it really is. Televised matches there around the world. Lots of internationals get played there and other matches. I think there's a match on today as well. But the church inside is quite beautiful. It's nice to see a church with individual boxed pews. You know, when the church was a church and stopped being used as a funeral chapel, people would have rented the pews. They've been family pews, family boxes. It's nice to see that they have survived. It's lovely around here. Nice war memorial as well. I see a picture of St George killing the dragon. Designed by Charles Leonard Hartwell. He also designed Clacton War Memorial as well. This is Park Road. Just down here is another location for the M.C.C. And this was the second location for the Marylebone Cricket Club. They played cricket here from 1811 to 1813. It was rather a nice little plaque on the concrete pillar. Concrete pillar is actually on a bridge, and underneath is the canal. So I'm wondering, with the building of the canals, maybe they had to move just a little bit further up the road. But it's nice to see the plaque for the M.C.C. and their first home is a little bit further down, so we'll come across that a bit later in the video. But the next impressive building down here is Regents Park Mosque, designed by Sir Frederick Gibbard, completed in 1977. It really is quite a beautiful looking building. The mosque is part of the Islamic Cultural Centre. It was founded in 1940 and officially opened by His Majesty King George VI in 1944. It really is quite a beautiful building. But next is Regents Park itself. I haven't walked in Regents Park for years. Must be at least 40 years. So I'm looking forward to taking a walk through there. This is quite a nice little street. You can see the old style street lighting. This is the Hanover Gate. It's got a nice little thoroughfare which connects gets Park Road to the inner road of Regents Park. It's nice to get away from the traffic. The amount of noise that's down there from traffic. Wherever I seem to go, I seem to find traffic noise. It's not good. But let's walk on into Regents Park. Sunny summer morning, Regents Park looks absolutely beautiful. It's a beautiful park at any time of the year, especially when the sun is shining. 410 acres. The area was formerly owned by Barking Abbey, but became the Crown property after the dissolution of the monasteries from 1536 to 1541. Named after the Prince Regent, the future King George IV, when the park was developed back in 1810. The layout was designed by George Nash. Looking across at the lake, you can see the geese just enjoying the sunshine. One or two tourists on their pedal boats, which they've rented for a half hour at $9.95. And a beautiful building on the other side of the lake. Really is absolutely gorgeous. But I'm going to head on back into the streets of London, try and find the original home of the M.C.C. and discover a blue plaque to a very famous author. So let's see what else we can find on the way as I walk down to Marylebone Railway Station. Absolutely beautiful, and so many other people enjoying the open space and the warm sunshine. This is Ivor Place, and what's now the Francis Holland School. Used to be the Gloucester Arms public house, named after Frederick, Duke of Gloucester, who was the nephew of George Nash, who designed Regents Park. Now, part of the Francis Holland School, which I've just walked past behind. I think the school was founded in 1915. Little grey cell's letting me down today. I'll put the correct answer on the screen. But this is Gloucester Road. But since 1612 it was known as Hogmore Lane. Changed its name around 1850. Named after Maria, Duchess of Gloucester and Edinburgh. Duchess of Gloucester and Edinburgh, who owned a house on this site, which she built back in 1805. Gloucester Road's better than Hogmore Lane. But it's a busy lane. I know this road very well. I drive down here several times a day in a coach, and it doesn't get any easier driving down here. There's always traffic, there's always roadworks, there's always something down here. But what is down here is Dorset Square, and the first home of the M.C.C. And this green box marks the original home of the M.C.C. There's a couple of plaques here as well. Thomas Lord laid out his original cricket ground on this site in 1787. The M.C.C. was founded here in the same year. Absolutely brilliant. Marylebone Cricket Club, this plaque was unveiled by Colin Cowdrey, president, on the 1st of June 1987 to mark the bicentenary of the first match played at Dorset Fields. There we go. The home, the original home of the Marylebone Cricket Club. And it developed into the impressive site we saw earlier, Lord's Cricket Ground. Yeah. M.C.C, Marylebone Cricket Club, which reminds me that Marylebone Station is just around the corner. That's a well-known film location here in London. But happen to know that there's a really interesting blue plaque just along here in Dorset Street, Dorset Square, I should say. So let's go and look at that. But it's nice here, lovely multi-storied terraced housing, nice park in the middle here. But you can't go into the park. It's one of those private ones, which is effectively the gardens to the properties. So only those with a key can get in. But just across the way, here we go, is this blue plaque. And this is the blue plaque to Dodi Smith, author and playwright, 1895 to 1990. Real name was Dorothy Gladys Smith. She was born on the 3rd of May 1896 and died 24th of November 1990. She was an English novelist and playwright, and some of her best known works include The Starlight Barking, I Capture the Castle, and her most famous work, 101 Dalmatians. She used to keep Dalmatians as pets, and at one point she had 9 of them, and the first was called Pongo. That's the name of the canine protagonist in the novel, and of course in the films, if you've only seen the films. She had the idea for a novel when one of her friends observed her Dalmatians and said those dogs would make a lovely fur coat. And the rest is one of the greatest novels I think I've read. Certainly the films were excellent. That's where she lived. But as I walk across the road, I see another blue plaque. Here we go. Sir Lawrence Gomme, 1853 to 1916. Clerk to the London County Council, folklorist and historian. Lived here 1895 to 1909. He helped found both Victoria Country History and the Folklore Society, and persuaded the London County Council to administer the Blue Plaque commemorative scheme. Now, this was the scheme devised by William Ewart in 1863. He conceived the idea to commemorate a link between a location and a famous person or event, serving as a historical marker. And it's the oldest such scheme in the world. Another great blue plaque. And there's even another one here as well. Oh my goodness, 3 in a row. Who's this one? George Goldsmith, 1847 to 1912. Actor and author, lived here. English comedian, writer, composer, actor and singer. A career that spanned more than 40 years. Died on the 1st of March 1912. That's nice. 3 blue plaques. London's full of surprises. You'll always find a blue plaque. There's always something interesting to look at in the centre of London. But this is Marylebone Railway Station. The station wasn't originally designed to carry passengers. It opened for coal traffic on the 27th of July 1898 and to passengers on the 15th of March 1899. It was designed by Henry William Braddock. This is the station that features on the Monopoly board. And it's also the filming location for several well-known films. The Ipcress File from 1965, Michael Caine film. The 39 Steps, 1978. Robert Powell was in that one. And the Beatles film A Hard Day's Night in April of 1964. It started with the Beatles this morning at the Abbey Road studios and that zebra crossing. And ending here at Marylebone Railway Station, a location that featured in one of their films. I've had a really fun day just walking through the streets of London, seeing what I can find, some interesting blue plaques and the locations for the M.C.C. But this is where I end the video. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and follow my journey. There's plenty more to come.